Good afternoon, ladies. Today we're going to finish up the notes from Chapter 2, beginning with Roman numeral 2 in your outline, which is entitled The British Empire in America. I'm going to be kind of just moving through the PowerPoint that I would have shown you in class, so you want to have your outlines open. You want to be taking notes, especially the key points according to your outline that you will need to know when we eventually assess this unit. So I will try to speak clearly and move at a moderate pace, but just make sure you are paying attention because we will only review this information in class and I'm not going to be reteaching everything here. So what we're going to start talking about is how Great Britain comes to create some of the other colonies that we haven't really yet mentioned in the notes yet. And we're going to start with New York and New Jersey. So on the right, you see a picture of King Charles II. He is the new king, succeeding his father, Charles I of England. And Charles is going to find himself in a lot of debt, and he owes people, especially people in England, a lot of money. And what he's going to do, since he doesn't really have the money to pay them back, is pay them back by giving them territory in the Americas. So we're going to see him give away lots of land here. His brother is named James, and James is the Duke of York. And Charles is going to give James territory between the Delaware and Connecticut rivers. If you look at this map, you can kind of see the Delaware River running through Pennsylvania, and the Connecticut River towards the right, with the Hudson River moving right in the middle there. And if you kind of recall what we already discussed about the Hudson River, is that this territory had previously been owned by another European country, and hopefully you recall what European country that is. I'll give you a second to think about that. What country used to control the Hudson River and its territory? And it was the Dutch, okay? And the Dutch used to claim this land, but we know that Great Britain will take control of it, and when it is given to James, the Duke of York, it will become known as the colony of New York. So that's how we get New York as controlled by England. Next, we are going to talk about New Jersey, and I just need you to know that New Jersey is also given away by King Charles to two aristocrats in England to kind of pay off what he owed them in money. Instead, he's going to give them the land that becomes known as the colony of New Jersey. So this is how New York and New Jersey kind of become two major colonies within the Americas. Alright, now talking about the Carolinas, King Charles will also give away the Carolinas to wealthy aristocrats in England. Initially, they kind of want to establish this manorial system. When you think manorial, think a manor, okay, how manors and the manor system works. Basically, in a manorial system, you would have wealthy landowners, being kind of the minority of the population, so a very wealthy few kind of owning the land and controlling it, while the rest of the people, which is the majority, would work on the land as serfs. So they would kind of work for the wealthy landowners. This isn't exactly going to happen. Instead, we kind of see two ways of life, two different ways of life between North and South Carolina. In North Carolina, you have kind of this poor family population, a lot of people coming from Virginia. Remember, Virginia is the colony that's right above North Carolina. When that population becomes too great, many poor families from Virginia would move to North Carolina, and they would just live and work on small family farms. They would usually raise tobacco or other grains. Whereas in South Carolina, you have a large population of African slaves starting to develop because many of the wealthy white settlers are going to buy slaves and use them and kind of exploit them to raise cattle and crops. So this is where we're really going to see that necessity of African slaves being used in an economic sense in the South. So South Carolina was really big on that. The next colony we're going to talk about is Pennsylvania. Charles will give the land of Pennsylvania to a man named William Penn. So that's where we get the name Pennsylvania. It's named after William Penn. And William Penn is unique because he is a Quaker. And Quakers were pacifists who were typically persecuted in England because they would not serve in the army. They would refuse being pacifists, and they would also not pay taxes to the Church of England. So William Penn is going to make Pennsylvania a Quaker colony where you're going to see Quakers kind of seek refuge in this colony. And so there's a large population of Quakers in Pennsylvania. Alright, we're now going to move on to the third Roman numeral from mercantilism to dominion. Kind of recall the idea of mercantilism and what it means. It's when money equals power, so England is trying to use the trade system that's most favorable to them, which is when they're going to have a lot more exports over imports. They don't want to import a lot because that costs more money, but they want to make money off of their exports. Well, we're going to see that England is going to use mercantilist policies in the colonies to kind of regulate and increase wealth for England and not the colonies themselves. So we're going to kind of start seeing the colonies be used and exploited a little bit by England for their own benefit, for England's own benefit. So what we have are the Navigation Acts that are going to be passed in the 1650s. This is kind of still going along with mercantilism, okay? Parliament is going to begin passing the Navigation Acts in the 1650s, and this gives England control over the goods that are being exported out of and imported into the colonies. So it just gives England a lot more of the say-so. You can kind of see in the little political cartoon on the PowerPoint some of the different ways, and we'll go over a few of them, that England tried to take control over the goods being imported and exported within the British colonies. And the acts are used to ensure that the mother country, England, is going to be the only one benefiting from its colonies and not other European nations. So it's England trying to maximize its profit from the colonies. One thing we see happen within the Navigation Acts is that colonies could only import and export goods that were in British ships. So this means that colonists can no longer trade with foreign merchants coming to North America. If foreign countries tried to bring in imports, then they were not allowed, or the colonists were not allowed to buy and trade with these foreign countries. And the reason is because England wants all the colonists to rely only on the goods coming from England. So colonists are no longer really trading with foreign merchants.